ministers of justice in Nigeria. You get that now? And if the minister of justice called a judge, put it this way, if Afe Babalola calls a minister of justice, if he can't get through, which is a real one, if he can't get through to a judge to manipulate the judge, he can get through to the minister of justice. And the minister of justice will get through to the president of the court of appeal, or the president, the chief justice of Nigeria. And through these two, they can manipulate anything in their favor. If you can pay the right money. I want her to finish. Then I'm going to add more.
And we know them, so they now threw them all out. Now, these 16, all their godfathers, and guess what happened? Somebody talked today about women. I was presiding Justice Lagos. Justice Bolkacho, a woman, was the president of the Court of Appeal. Justice Aloma Mukhtar was the CJN. Their godfathers were now rendered, what's the word? Oh. And it's like, who was going to come and they moved. You know what they call moved? And all of them, their godfathers, so-called godfathers, Justice Augie, me, to go and meet her. So that is how, what they call Magana Yakari, that's the end of it. Before you know it, everybody had fallen in line. How did you know the 16? They knew them. And they said they also knew the ringleaders. And that, yes, those who were being misled found their way back. And a year later, come and see all these people. When my son had him, I see all of them in my house, bus load that came for naming ceremony. And I said, I remember telling a friend, a year ago, these people wanted to kill me. He said, what do you mean they wanted to kill you? You're the one who came here to destabilize all their business and everything. And then after some time, when they discovered that, well, if they can't kill you, they might as well join you to do things. So we are a wonderful people. Any of you who has ever had to work with staff that are that are hardworking, they know what to do and everything, it all comes from leadership. It all comes from let us do the right thing. It comes from standing up when they look at you and know we have to do the right thing and be able to report it, to be able to take the civil service rules and act upon it. But if I and my registrar decide to start making money, bail money, come and, like I told somebody, the day your registrar comes to you and say, I'm in a how now? What does that mean? They're already telling you that me and you are in that business. But if I respect myself, how dare you come to now talk like that? Anyway, the bottom line, like all of us are going to say, for reforms to happen, we need to have a paradigm shift. We need to be able to train our people. And I still keep talking about the judicial justice sector. We need to have specialized schools. Judicial colleges, just like you have TV college. We need to have people that from secondary school know, like you have lab technology, you have all those things that we are going to go to the judicial sector. We are going to be trained in whichever way it is to be able to do that. For now, too many godfathers putting people that don't fit into the place we are having. We have round pegs in the square holes. And then I also want to tell you, and then I round up on that sector. I was on that panel, the first panel that removed Ngige and put Peter Obi that time. I was on that. That's the first time in the history of this country that the courts acted and removed the government. No, that's not the story. The thing is that before then, the politicians didn't really know the power that the court had until that case came up, and then after that, come and see floodgate. And then what do we have? Politicians are very strategic. They are very, you start looking at a young person, let me not say girl now, but a young person, you have your people now. The next thing is how do we put them as judges into all this? Not just at the high court, but move them up, move them. We have to have our people that we can call to go. This is where the whole thing started. This is where that whole have judicial officers that don't have the passion for the job. They are not trained for the job. To be a judge takes a particular mindset. It's not anybody that can do that job. And don't forget that as a judge, I can't talk like this if I was still in service. Because where will you even see me? Where will you even see me to say that, I would... the Honorable Minister Bagudu is here. I mean, he was my governor of Kebbi. I had not yet been sworn in. I went for Dr. Z, his wife's medical outreach, which I had been attending for years. So I hadn't been sworn in. I showed up at the event here in Abuja. Before you knew it, petitions that I'm going to be sworn in as Justice of Supreme Court. I'm already with what was PDP then or something next. That was, baptism of fire that told me that after that, you can't even see me anywhere. Then you have SANs. To be an SAN in this country, you need to have a certain number of cases at the High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. So cases that shouldn't even be in the system are now piled up. The courts are overworked because these people want to be SANs and need to have this case. So even if their client can't pay, the SAN is ready to pay all the way up there. I'll get as long as I have the required number of cases. So we do have a problem. We need justice sector reforms as badly as any other sector, and I rest my case there.
Thank you, Honorable Justice.
And we know.
Thank you so much. I am very much happy that when she said, all these things I am saying now, I could not say them when I was in service. According to her, the politicians who eventually bastardized the judicial system in Nigeria back in the days, you can never, or you must never see any judge in the gathering of politicians. You will barely see judges in the open, because automatically you are considered somebody who is going to compromise, right? So according to her, the first time that the politicians realized the power of a judge in Nigeria was when they removed Ngige for Peter Obi after proving his case of rigging that took place in Anambra back then. It shook Nigeria. So what did the politicians do? They saw an opportunity to make their own wives, their sons, their daughters, their girlfriends, their family members to become judges, nominated them, pushed them through the system so that they could use them to secure favorable judgments, which over the years, this was like 15 years in a row. Today, politicians have their children, their wives, in charge of different courts, issuing different edicts, judgments in the favor of the party that their husband, their wives belong to. And that, as she rounded it up, normally should have prompted a judicial reform in Nigeria. And if there should be a real reform, that simply means that thousands of those who have become judges, from the magistrates to the High Court, to the Court of Appeal, and to the Supreme Court, will not only be relieved of their positions, they will be probed and jailed. There's a senator, Bukashua. She mentioned Bukashua, Justice also Bukashua. That's the wife. That was the president of the Court of Appeals in Nigeria. Guess what? When she was the president of the Court of Appeal in Nigeria, which was like a position where she influenced who became justices for the Court of Appeals in Nigeria, she used this same position to help her husband. Her husband, who happened to be Senator Bukashua, for years, he's been in the Nigerian Senate. Last year, he unmasked what he has used, used his own wife to achieve in protecting the fraudulent elections, rigged elections of his own colleagues that could have been booted out through the courts. But because his wife was the president of the Court of Appeal, he was able to secure favorable judgment for these rogues who ended up being rubber stamps for the executive in Nigeria. Senators, governors, reps, House of Assembly, name it. It was like as if a witch was confessing to our crimes when Bukashua was giving his valedictory statement last year, that I am so grateful to my wife for tolerating me, because I had used her to secure some of you here who are here today. You will not be here if not because of my wife. Let me take you through that. Still exposing the judiciary, that the democracy, demonstration of grace that you call democracy in that contraption has brought upon Nigeria, which has now denied justice. Now, justice is pretty much for the highest bidder in Nigeria. If you can pay the price, then you will get justice. If you can't, then you take the boot. And this is the society that APC, people destroying people, they are bequeathing to us, the younger generation. They are older now. Listen to this.
Distinguished colleagues, I remain Adamu Mohammed Bulkachua, representing Bauchi North Senatorial District. It is a moment when we have to say probably goodbye to each other. For those of us that are not returning, we will still be around and we might keep on meeting again and again. For those who are going to be engaged on at the 10th Senate, well, I wish you luck. And Mr. President, you know, we have come a long way from 1999. And, Susuan is not there, unfortunately. We have come a long way since 1999. And when we met again, 2019, there were so many strange faces to me. Strange faces that are not really or too strange, because many of us here, we have met informally and we had some confidential dealings of one sort or the other between us, and they sought for my help and I did my best, and in most cases I succeeded, and they have thanked me for what I have done with words of mouth. That was all. But I am very happy that since that time we became good friends and we remain good friends. My political history has been very simple but challenging. Since I retired voluntarily from the civil service, from the diplomatic service, only to come back to my constituency and take part in politics, I have been, believe me, all on my own. On my own because for some odd reason which I cannot comprehend, all the governors of my state, including those I helped to climb to that position, never supported me for whatever political office I bid for. But I am so grateful to Almighty Allah that Almighty Allah has always been on my side. And I have succeeded, won my elections, despite the opposition from the executive, from the state. And I am sure many of those who knew my role in APC or CPC before APC would wonder how I started from that side of the Senate and ended up on this side, for which I don't regret. They wonder, why would I take such drastic decisions? And I think Mr. President is one of such people who never still believed that I really crossed the carpet to this side. But my reasons were very simple. Since I never enjoyed the support of the party leadership in APC, even for them to recognize my...
Chief Whip, you yourself, you are not helping matters now.
They never recognized my role as stakeholder and mover and shaker of APC, a founding member, and they thought I was indispensable. Yes, nobody is indispensable. But I made it clear to the leadership of the APC that if you don't recognize the value of any political actor, you would soon come to realize his nuisance value. And I tried to prove that to APC. That's why, first of all, I moved to this side. Second, and I promised the leadership of APC that I will mess APC up in Bauchi State. And I'm proud to say I have done that. I've succeeded.
You can round up.
Please, show him respect. Show him respect.
Distinguished Senator Adam Mohamed Bulkachua, please round up. You have less than 1 minute to round up.
Taken 10 minutes. And why should you respect me? Because I can cross-carpeted?
No, I don't want anybody to interrupt you or disturb you. So just round up.
Mr. President, at my age, I don't think I will lobby anybody under the sun. I would do the right thing, and I always do the right thing, and sincerely and honestly too. So, I know, I look at faces in this chamber whom have come to me and sought for my help when my wife was the president of the Court of Appeal. And I'm sure
Distinguished Senator Adam Ahmed Bulkachua, I think I will advise that you just round up and take your seat.
Name any names. We know ourselves.
No, but this kind of insinuation will mean that there was Favour, there was this, and the rest of it. I don't think it's a good idea.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I must say that, okay, to round up, since that's what you want me to do, I will do that. And I must thank particularly my wife, whose freedom and independence I encroached upon while she was in office. And she has been very tolerant and accepted my encroachment and extended her help to my colleagues.
Distinguished, please, I don't think this is a good idea, go in this direction. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea, please.
She's not there. Well, Mr. President, I will say thank you and I will sit down. Thank you.
What shall I say unto the Lord?
Yes, Lord.
All I have to say,
Thank you, Lord.
thank
What shall I
you,
say?
Lord.
Thank you,
We can
Lord.
deliver,
Says thank you, Lord. He said it. Before I will sit down, I will say it. A lot of you came to me, and my wife tolerated you by helping all of you when she was the president of the Court of Appeal. So tomorrow, when we will complete the reading of Dele Farotimi's book on the roles and actions of corrupting the Nigerian judiciary by Afe Babalola and co., just remember that there will be more to be exposed. There is already evidence of how Afe Babalola used his chamber. What is it called again? Emmanuel Chamber or something. Used his law firm to share money, $1.2 million in a space of 8 years in buying different judgments for politicians or for businesses, especially politicians, in different courts in Nigeria. That is the common saying. Afe Babalola will take care of it. Have you been to Afe Babalola's chambers? Say, no, sir. Go and see Afe. Afe Anyojue. Afe will take care of it for you, as long as you can pay the price. He made so much money that he became a billionaire from that corrupt system, from buying judgments in what they called their legal track record. The same thing that if it was a country like America right now, they would have possibly set up a legal, a legal panel to investigate all the cases handled by Afe Babalola in the last 50 years, from the preliminary to Supreme Court of Nigeria. They will probe every case. And guess what? There's a chance that more than 80% of them were fraudulently procured judgments. Something that Dele Farotimi's book seems to be doing a justice to. And from where that came from, there is more from there. And I promise you, on Mayegun's Diary Political, we will dig as much as we can, fact for fact, present them to these viewers and the generations that need to know, how did Nigeria arrive here? How did Nigeria become this lawless country? There are sons, papers, senior advocate of nuisance, who have corrupted the system so much that it has become the norm. It has become the norm. Now, you will be sounding pretty much like a stranger to them when you begin to question them. They will just look at you and be like, is this on JJC? Are you new? It's not new now. I mean, there is esprit de corps. Esprit de corps means that you have to cover this whole thing up. You are not supposed to speak out. And the man that is unraveling this, getting all of us interested, the great author, Dele Farotimi, the writer of the bestseller book, has done great justice to this, and tens of thousands of this book is now in the hands of tens of thousands of people who are now realizing that, yes, we know Nigeria